And welcome back. I wanted to say that I wasn't planning on doing a video in between my two videos, but I just feel like I have to because there's a lot of things to update you on. And the first thing is that I've heard there's going to be 20, top 20 this year versus 16 or 15. I hope that's true because there's just so many strong contestants that it would be much easier to deal with 20 than 15 or 16 at this point. So I did want to mention that first of all. And also from things I've seen, videos, and of course pictures, and other things since the ladies have arrived, there have been several events, and they've of course gone to many outings and done many things, including that fashion show. So I want to update you on where I stand on the Miss Universe contestants for 2018. So first of all, no big surprise, I would hope, but my top person is still Miss Philippines. That has not changed. She's just such a strong contestant, and I think, candidate, that it's going to be hard to knock her off. It's certainly possible. It's always possible when you've got a competition. Of course, she's going to make it into the top 20, but she's got to then prove herself like everybody else. So, moving on, I want to tell you who's kind of gone up in my rankings and my mind, and who has there's been some that have definitely fallen. So, let's start with somebody who has gone up, and that's Miss Puerto Rico. Now, I got a lot of comments since my first video about how great Miss Puerto Rico is and how she's a strong, strong candidate or contestant, and I agree. So she has gone up, probably before I had her about fifth or fourth, and now I've got her in second place or first runner up. So now, these are not final. Again, got to watch the preliminaries and see how it goes, and of course the pageant itself. But right now, Miss Puerto Rico is right behind Miss Philippines for me. Right behind her is Miss Venezuela. I really like Miss Venezuela. She is strong, 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 strong. And then Miss Vietnam, Miss South Africa, and Miss Mexico. Those would be my top six right now. Now, I will say this about Miss Mexico. She has really slipped in my mind. The more I see her, I don't like her as much. Now, she's still a strong candidate, don't get me wrong, but she's just not quite as good as I thought she was, the more I see her. South Africa's still about where I thought she would be. And then we come into countries like Ecuador. So Ecuador would be my next one. Thailand, Colombia, and USA are right there in the next four. So that would be, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's my top 10 as of now. Is Philippines, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Vietnam, South Africa, Mexico, Ecuador, Thailand, Colombia, and USA. But as I said before, and somebody said, well, you don't seem to like Colombia at all. It's not that I don't like her, and this isn't about liking people. It's about their strength as a contestant. Their poise, their glamour, how they present themselves. I don't know anything about any of these contestants personally, so I don't judge them in that regard. This is just about on-stage presentation. So let's be clear about that. Miss USA, I want to say a couple things about Sarah. She's, of course, a very pretty lady and does really well, but she's just not one of my favorites. She really isn't. I think she could do very well. She could move up, and I've got her in about 10th place. She could certainly do better than that, and I won't be surprised if she does do better than that. But I just don't think she's, in my mind, as strong as some of these other ladies. I just don't see her in the same league, really. But we'll see. And then we move on to just outside the top 10. I've got Spain, Canada, and then I'm going to come back to the next two, Kenya. And Kenya, I want to talk about. She's just a little breath of fresh air, that Miss Kenya. I don't know if you've seen her, but like Miss Vietnam, she has very short hair. Now, of course, sometimes I'm sure that it's longer than others, just like Vietnam. But and she just looks so young. I don't know how old she is, but boy, she looks young. But she's just a little spitfire, from what I can tell. So I have high hopes for her. I really hope she gets into the top 20. But we'll see. There's also, oh, I believe it's Miss Nigeria. I want to say Miss Nigeria is also strong. Okay, now I want to talk about, but I don't have her in my top 20, just to be clear. Um, at least not yet. I want to talk about a few ladies who have fallen out of my top 16 to 20, because originally it was 16 out to 20. So first of all, Miss Ukraine. I had her in there, and I just, from what I've seen, I don't think so at this point. Probably top 25, but maybe not top 20. So I've dropped her out. Miss Curacao. Again, the more I've seen, the less I like her, so I have dropped her out of the top 20. And Dominican Republic and Malta were not in my top 16, and they still aren't. But I don't, at this point, have them in my, especially Dominican Republic. I've dropped her out of my top 20. Malta, I think, is still possible. But I want to tell you about some countries, because there's quite a few, actually, that have moved up in my rankings and I think have a better chance. So that starts with Peru, Miss Peru. I think she's strong. I've got her in there in my top 20, in the bottom part of it, but still in the top 20. And then Ireland. Now, Ireland is certainly not known as a strong nation in this pageant, but certainly has had some success in it. So I think this year they have a very strong contestant, so we'll see how that goes. But right now I've got her in at about number 17 or 18. And then I forgot to mention Miss Australia last time, so I don't want to forget to mention her this time. She is in my top 20, Miss Australia. I would say, that second half, somewhere in there, maybe 12, 13, somewhere in there is where I'd put her, with Canada and some of the others. So the last few spots, don't think I've mentioned Spain yet. I don't this time. She's actually in my number 11 spot right now. Again, still really needs to work on her softening as a candidate. She's coming across too stiff, I think, and I heard someone else say the exact thing. So we'll see. I think she can do better, but we'll see how she does. I want to talk about Miss India. Now, I have not talked about Miss India yet because she has not come onto my radar until just recently. And I've been very surprised because Miss India usually does so well in these pageants. And hardly anyone is talking about Miss India this year. So don't think it's a strong, or she is a strong contestant this year. But we'll see. Now she has impressed me enough to get into my top 20. I would say down towards the bottom, though. Like maybe 19 or 20. And then I want to mention two others. Denmark. Denmark has grown on me. She's definitely on several lists I've seen, and it's not because of that she's grown on me, but from what I've seen of her specifically. So she's possible. Also Indonesia. Okay, so Indonesia sort of was under my radar as well before recent couple days, and now she's flown up there. So she has gotten into my top 20. Now, I think that's all the 20, I believe. Let me see. I want to mention some of these other ladies, though. Oh, Great Britain. I forgot to mention Great Britain. She would be in that top 20. Great Britain, strong. I think I heard that she's the first black woman to represent Great Britain in the pageant. I'm not positive of that, but that's what I heard. But I want to mention some of the other ladies that are right there in that top 25. So now we've got the top 20 with Great Britain in there. But some others I want to mention are El Salvador. I think Miss El Salvador could slip into the top 20. She is right there. Maybe like 21 in my list. Also, I like Norway. Norway has a strong contestant this year, but I don't know that she's going to make the top 20. I would say she's in the top 25, maybe. Maybe 25. And then Albania. Albania is really growing on me. She has got such a beauty to her. and we'll have to see about the poise in that, but I'd put her in that top 25. Armenia could also be in the top 25. And then I think the last two I wanted to talk about are Kosovo. Oh, she's just really a very beautiful woman. And Uruguay, I would say the same thing. And that's the thing, guys, is there are so many strong candidates. I can't stress that enough. This is an amazing group. And, there are some that are obviously not in the top 25, very obviously. In fact, quite a few. Maybe beautiful doesn't mean they're not beautiful, but they're just not as strong. And you can tell by their when they walk into rooms as a group and so forth, and when they go to events, you can tell the ones that really have that poise, that strength, and that presentation. So with that, I think that was all I wanted to say today. And as I said, the preliminaries are this Thursday, I believe, the 13th. So Friday or Saturday, I will be doing my predictions video for a final video, whatever you want to call it, final picks. But as of now, still Miss Philippines to lose, and I hope she doesn't. But Miss Puerto Rico has gone up, Mexico has gone down, Venezuela stayed about the same, Vietnam, South Africa about the same. Okay, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this latest installment of my pageant thoughts for Miss Universe 2018. See you next time. Bye.